Hey everyone, welcome to ACEVERYTHing. My name is Andrew. Today we're going to be doing a open review of the Birds of Prey film that came out on February 7th. I just saw it last night at 10:10 p.m. in one of the worst theater conditions I've been in a long time. Horribly uncomfortable chairs and subpar popcorn, but it didn't ruin the movie for me. First, I'm going to say, when it comes to the box office problems, I might address those a little bit, but I'll be honest. I think it's short-term issues. I think it'll still make its money. It's too low of a budget film to not make money. Okay, people need to calm down. I know it's making less money than expected. I know it's stumbled, but it still made 81 million internationally. It only had an $84 million production budget. To break even, it only has to make about $200 million. It's going to be fine. Probably less than that, actually. Probably a little less, maybe slightly more. Either way, it's still going to make money, okay? It's coming out next week. It's really going to be important that it knocks Sonic out of the water. It's really going to be important. I'm going to say this. I don't know if it has to knock Sonic out of the water, but that is like the biggest piece of competition that it has coming out this coming week. And over the next few weeks, I think it's really is just Sonic. I think that's the only film this movie has to really worry about is Sonic. But if it doesn't knock Sonic out of the water, it really could be catastrophic for this film. I'll be honest. It could cause a lot of issues for this film long term. But I'm gonna say it again. This movie could bomb to the level of Dark Phoenix. And I think it sort of is right now. It's actually on the Dark Phoenix arc, which I did not see coming. I mentioned that in that video to kind of express, look, this is how bad it can do and still make money. I didn't expect it to do that bad. So I think that has mostly to do with the R rating. I think they did a disservice to themselves by making it R rated, but it is what it is. But I have to say, I think it's still going to make its money. I think it's still going to come back and make money overall. I think it's going to settle in around $300 to $400 million total at the box office, which isn't a hit. It's not going to be a hit. Okay, this isn't going to be a box office hit. I just read an article a minute ago about Business Insider saying, look, it could still be a box office hit for DC. I don't see that happening. I see it maybe making $50 to $60 million profit. Now, that's not bad. That's okay, especially for this film. This is a niche audience you're catering to. Not a lot of people care about Black Canary or Huntress or Renee Montoya. Not a lot of people even really care about Harley Quinn, unfortunately, unless the Joker's involved. I'm not going to sit here and blame men. And again, once again, Lion Jeremy over at the Courting. Lion Jeremy. Just had to say that everyone blamed men, you know. Now, I watched his video, and he goes on to clarify that it's actually really the media that's blaming men. But if you're going to say that, don't phrase it as if the actresses and the actors, and don't phrase it as if the people filming the movie or the people the production company or anything like. Don't phrase it as if they're blaming men, because that makes no sense and it's a lie. Lion Jeremy, man, Lion Jeremy. That's all he can do. Over-exaggerating things so he can make clickbait titles. It's stupid. It's ignorant. Don't do it. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. It's that simple. You are an idiot. I don't know what it's gonna take, man. Anyway, I know he doesn't pay attention to me because like no one watches my videos, but still, like, don't lie. People are lying, and it's not fair to this film to sit here. Everyone laid this film out as if it was a feminist piece. It really was not. I sat through this film an hour and 49 minutes. Was it like an empowerment women thing a little bit? Yeah, sure. But I don't. Yeah, like people are pointing out, all the villains are men. All the villains are men in like every comic book movie, you idiot. Like in every comic book movie. Literally every comic book movie. That's because, by and large, most villains are men in comic books. Didn't see that coming. It kills me, man. Acting as this is such a huge feminist piece. It's really not. Is there a little bit of women empowerment in this movie? Yeah, sure. But it's not really a feminist piece. It's just not. So if that's what's keeping you away from the theater, go see it, because you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're thinking something's in this film that's not. I will say one thing that is in this film that I didn't expect, and I can't say I'm a huge fan of. It doesn't really bother me because, again, I actually addressed this in the last video, I believe, because Ewan McGregor mentioned that his character and Victor Zsasz could be gay together. And I'll be honest, they kind of make subtle hints at it at the movie. Not even really subtle hints. They kind of just throw it out there. I That's definitely not OG to the comics. That's definitely not original to the comics. So I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of that. But it doesn't bother me enough because I just don't care about the villain's sexuality. To be honest, it doesn't really make a difference to me. So BF fucking D. Oh, big deal. He might be gay. Oh, now if you're, I know one of my coworkers might not take his kids to see this. Which, never mind. Actually, never mind, because you shouldn't take your kids to see this anyway. It's rated R, and it's rated R for a reason. I'll get to that in a minute. It's definitely rated R for a reason. But I know there are people out there that'll be like, "Oh, I don't want to take my kids to see a movie because it might make them gay." No, it won't. There's no sexual content of any kind in this movie. Not really, unless you consider a woman in underwear sexual content, and if you do, you're the biggest dweeb in the world. But anyway, disregarding that, beyond that didn't really bother me. BFD. First 30 minutes of this film were pretty. I don't want to say slow. It's not like they were boring necessarily, but it was confusing. It jumped around tonally. It was kind of confusing. They were trying to introduce every single character and stuff like that. I only think it was like the first 30 minutes that were like that for me. I've heard of other people say the first hour, but you're saying like the first hour of the film, like the first whole hour leading up to the final scene was boring. That's definitely not the case. I would say it's like the first 30 minutes maybe when they're introducing everyone. And even it's not boring or anything. It's just confusing. They're just jumping around a lot. Harley's narrating and she's going back and forth. The action scenes and the fight scenes in this were actually great. I have another coworker who's a moron who also said that it was bad because the cinematography was off and the angles of how they're executing things and the choreography was off. That's not the case. If you're basing that on a digestion of one of the trailers, bad idea, because guess what? Not everything in the trailer is in the movie. And sure enough, the things he pointed out were not in this movie. Sorry to say it, but if they were, I didn't notice it. He pointed out the cinematography was weak and stuff like that. Not the case. It was okay. It wasn't great or anything, but the fight scenes were actually pretty damn good. I actually love them. I will temper expectations a little bit because I heard a few people say this is the best DC movie since The Dark Knight. No, it's not. No, it's not, okay? That would be saying that it's better than The Dark Knight Rises and Wonder Woman and Shazam and many other films. I think it's better than Aquaman. It's definitely better than Aquaman. I even liked it more than Wonder Woman, to be honest. I liked it more than Wonder Woman, and that's just a personal taste. That's not me saying it's necessarily a better film than Wonder Woman. It's me saying I liked it more than Wonder Woman. But I can't say necessarily that it was better than Wonder Woman. I definitely like Shazam more than this film, but I like Shazam more than Wonder Woman. I like Shazam more than any other DCEU film that they've done so far. And that's just me because I love that character and I love that movie. Bigger things looking ahead. A lot of people are freaking out. They're like, DC needs to recalibrate again because this movie's going to fail at the box office. No, it's not. Calm down. It's not going to lose money. They didn't spend enough money to lose money. There's no way. It would have to do nothing at the box office over the next 4 to 6 weeks. It would have to do jack squat. That's how bad it would have to be. It's currently on the same arc as Dark Phoenix, which means it would make around $250 to $300 million, and it would either break even or make at least 50, 60 million, which is okay. It's not great. I'm not saying they're going to love it at Warner Brothers. I'm not saying Warner Brothers is going to be rolling in dough or anything like that, but they should be at least okay with this performance. maybe it'll be a little bit of a disappointment. But this isn't a reason to sit here and be like, these characters are terrible and we shouldn't move forward with them. You should, okay? You should, because you know the people that do go see this film, the main thing that they talked about that they loved was the birds of prey, who are not featured enough in this film. And that's the biggest thing. If they featured these characters more in this film, this would have been a much better film. I gave it like an 8 out of 10. I gave it like a B. And I still think that's a pretty good rating on it. It was good, not great. Now, the last 45 minutes were great. If the entire film had been like that, it would have been a great film. Now I express again, it was only the first 30 minutes that were a little for me. Like, I literally leaned over to my friend within the first 30 minutes and was like, this is not good. Because it was just so confusing. It was jumping around. It wasn't horrible or anything, but it was just, there was too much going on. They were scrambling around a little bit too much to explain everything, and it just didn't, the narration was kind of lazy the way they were doing it. After that, though, it got fucking good. It got really fucking good. Like, this is actually a really good film. I don't know if it should get an 80% from Rotten Tomatoes. That's a little high for me. I would say low 70s is about right. I would say low 70s is about right. I definitely liked it more than Aquaman. That got about a 65%. I think that was a pretty accurate rating from the critics, actually. I actually agreed with them on that, which I rarely do, but I think that was actually a pretty good rating on it. I think this deserved maybe like a 70% or something like that. Definitely not an 80%. That's a little high for me. Low 70s is better. I know the fans have it at about an 81% right now on Fandango and on Flickster and all that. So not a bad rating. Again, that's okay. I still think it should be a little bit lower. For the fans, I expected high 70s, low 80s. So I was pretty much right on that. Overall, I think people are going to like this film, and if you're a DC fan and you weren't planning on seeing this movie, I have to say, go see the movie because you're going to like it. Don't miss out on this just because of some bull crap about politics or anything like that. There's not a lot of politics in this film. There's not. Yes, there's a little slide shot that says Harley voted for Bernie Sanders. Oh, God, let me go whine and cry about that. Who cares? Okay? Who cares? She's insane. Okay? The character is insane. If you're taking who she voted for seriously, you're an idiot. Okay? You're an idiot. The quartering, Jeremy, you're an idiot for phrasing your video the way you did, for titling your video the way you did, saying anyone was blaming men. That's a lie. That's not accurate. It's not true. No one from the production company, no one from Warner Brothers, none of the actresses or actors said anything blaming men. That didn't happen. It's not true. It's stupid. Don't believe these idiots when they say things like that. It's dumb. No one actually blamed men for this. No one did. That would make no sense because like 50% of their audience has been men. Over the opening weekend, 53% of ticket buyers were men. Didn't see that coming. Duh. Comic book movie. Most of your audience is going to be men. I think they're counting, for DC's, for their formula of success on this one. I'm sorry I'm scratching a little bit. I got a new tattoo, so it's pretty itchy. I think the big formula of success for the rest of the time this movie is out is going to be trying to cater to women with this, and that makes sense because it is a women-fronted movie. It would make sense that they cater to women. Don't get all offended about that. It makes sense that they'd cater to women. I think Valentine's Day this next weekend is going to be very important for this movie. I hope they do well. I want this movie to make money because I think it deserves to make money. I'm not sure why people were driven away from it. I think maybe their R rating is definitely killing it. I think the Suicide Squad may have tainted it because Suicide Squad was such a bad film. Honestly, I like that film. I like that one, but that's partially just because I'm a huge DC fan. But yeah, I think the R rating is dragging it down, and just the trailers were not good. Even I have to admit, there was the only real big little moment of any of the trailers that I really loved was just when she was kind of breaking into the prison. Best scene in the film, by the way, is when she's breaking into the prison. That was awesome. Or breaking into the jail, the police station. That was awesome. And she kind of says, and she does say this in the movie, but in a different way. Like, it's a lot more explicit. She kind of says, I'm the one they should be scared of, not you or Mr. J, because I'm Harley frickin' Quinn. That was awesome. That was the only real cool thing in the trailer, to be honest. The rest of the trailers, they just were not very good. The marketing just wasn't very good for this film. That's probably part of the reason it's not making a lot of money. I hope it picks up. I hope it makes its money, because it deserves to make its money. This is a good film overall. It's worth going to see. And was it great? No, but it was definitely good. 8 out of 10. Definitely a very accurate rating for it in my opinion. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Anyway, that is the end of this rant. Like and subscribe, and goodbye.